Hey everyone, welcome back to KDX Bricks Analytics, where I watch all the other Lego investing and reselling videos so that you don't have to, and I say that in jest. There are lots of great videos out there and I recommend watching them all. When I watch all those videos, I collect and aggregate data and share that with you. So I've got our first cumulative table for 2025. Let's see where some of my top sets are on the table. And let's see where some of your top sets are on the table. And of course, at the end, I will give you my top 3. This year so far, I've watched 100 videos across 13 channels with almost 1,000 Lego set mentions. As you know, every time the presenter discusses a Lego set in those videos that I watch, I record it as a mention on my data table, and for each mention, I grade an enthusiasm score of 0 through 3. 3 means that the presenter thinks it is a home run investment. 2 means the presenter thinks it's an average Lego investment. 1 means the presenter is interested but has some questions, and then when they say they are skipping a set for investing, I give it a 0, and I talk about those sets in my not top sets videos, which will be coming up next. We've got a bunch of great and interesting sets to look at in this video. First one on the table is this Speed Champions Too Fast Too Furious Nissan Skyline. 9 mentions total this year, 6 more in the month of February, but the enthusiasm score dropped by 0.5. So that means in January it was a 2.7 and now it's down to an average 2.2. That 2.7 was very high because the max is 3.0. Now 2.2 is pretty average for a Speed Champions set. I do like this set a fair amount because the first Speed Champions Fast and Furious set that came out late 22 and retired in 23 retailed for $20 and it's going for over $30. I bought about 12 of them for $14 and I'm selling them for $30 to $35 on Facebook Marketplace right now. But on the Skyline, I also agree with the lower enthusiasm score because this set is going to have a 3-year shelf life, whereas the Dodge Charger had less than a year and a half shelf life. I do think that will make a difference. And please note the R in parentheses in front of the set number and name on my table means that according to Brick Fanatics and BrickTap that it is expected to retire at the end of this year. Oh, and I almost forgot to show you that we are starting to get initial images of the next Speed Champions Fast and Furious car. This is Suki's Honda S2000. I don't know how great this set will be for investing, but it definitely will help out the Nissan Skyline. I think it's always best when you get at least 4 to 10 sets in a sub-theme. Having more related sets on the shelves reminds everybody they want to go back and get the first ones. Second set on the table is from the Ideas theme. It's the Viking Village Target exclusive. That's why I have Target in parentheses. 7 more mentions in the month of February, 9 total, an enthusiasm score of 2. I like this set a lot, but I'm worried it could become too popular for investing. Third up, not expected to retire at the end of this year, came out in August of 22, so it's going to have a really long shelf life, is the ATTE Walker. 3 more mentions to a total of 8 and a solid enthusiasm score of 2.6. I basically don't buy any sets until the year that they are retiring. However, I made an exception for this set because I saw this posted on the Lego Deals subreddit and I went to my local Walmart and I found one for the same price. And it's actually right here sitting on my floor next to me. I just got that for a personal collection. I'll probably build it sometime in the next few months. Of course, next year when it is expected to retire, if it goes on a sale like this, then I will be watching very closely. Fourth set is boarding the Tantive IV, expected to have just under a 2-year shelf life. 3 more mentions, 1 more tick on the E-score up to 2.3. There's a lot of good in this set for $55. The hallway itself is pretty good. Some action features in there, but 7 minifigures. Of course, the highlight is the 25th anniversary Fives minifigure. So 502 pieces, 7 minifigures seems reasonable for $55. Of course, it will be on sale, so I'm sure we'll be able to pick up a few of these. I'd like to get around 5 or so before the end of this year, but I don't want to get overly excited about it because when we scroll through and look at the values of the minifigures, only a couple of them are over $3.50. Of course, Fives is going to be the popular one at almost $15, Darth Vader at $6, and everything else $3 and $3.50. On Brick Economy, there are all the minifigures, and then here it shows us the value of them, $29.70. That is more than 50% of the retail price, which is kind of my limit for Star Wars sets where minifigures are clearly going to be a big part of the value. But still, in this set, I wish that value was higher, closer to $35 or even $40 in minifigures. That definitely makes it a discount set for me when I invest in it. Also, when we look at Camel 3X, we see that it basically has not gone out of stock on Amazon, and third-party sellers are not doing any better than the retail price. Sold prices on eBay are also pretty low, somewhere between $35 and $45 with shipping included. And then one metric that really scares me about this set is there are currently 312 new listings on eBay. There are going to be tons of copies of this set on the secondary market. Makes it probably a little bit longer of a hold time. And again, for me, it definitely makes it that I must get it on a good discount. Next up is the new Dumbo Brickheads. If it does retire at the end of this year, short shelf life, 8 mentions total, a 1.9 enthusiasm score. The Lego exclusive Ideas Orient Express train, I've talked about it a lot in previous videos, 6 more mentions in the month of February, 8 total, but it dropped 0.7 to a 1.8 enthusiasm score. The highest ranking modular building is the Jazz Club, a little surprising, 7 mentions, up 0.3 to 2.3 enthusiasm score. Most modulars still do well on the secondary market. I think the other one that is retiring this year looks a little better, and so investors are saying, hey, that one will probably be a little more popular, so let's go for this one that might have less inventory on the secondary market. Lion Knight's Castle, now it's starting to get the buzz that it deserves. 6 more mentions in February, 7 total, a 2.1 enthusiasm score, $400, awesome set. And then here's the aforementioned other modular retiring this year, the Boutique Hotel, 6 more mentions, 7 total, but a lower 2.0 enthusiasm score compared to the 2.3 on the Jazz Club. Target exclusive, Spider-Man's Mask, 3 more mentions, but it dropped 0.3 to a 2.0 enthusiasm score. The MIDI scale Tantive IV, let's talk about this set for a minute too. As you can tell, the sets that I've highlighted in this light red color, I am deep diving. Definitely check out my last few videos for any of the other sets that I'm not talking about as much in this video, because I've covered a lot of these a fair amount recently. So the Tantive IV, 3 more mentions, 7 total, but a low 1.7 enthusiasm score, $80 for 654 pieces. All of these mini scale Star Wars ships are way overpriced. They're kind of like the dioramas where you have to get them on huge discount, and a little bit like the helmets where big discount is pretty important on those too. Talking about dioramas and helmets, let's do some comparisons and look at some trends. So here are all of the other mini scale ships that are out. I just finished building my invisible hand, very cool. It breaks apart. There we go. I didn't want to shatter it while I'm trying to record here, but very cool set. So the big question is, do we think the mini scale ships are going to go the way of the helmets and be really good performers across the board? As you can see, most of these are doing very well, including the Boba Fett helmet that had a really long shelf life, retailed for $60. People were getting it for $40 to $45, and now it's showing $75 on Brickset. Or do we think the mini scale ships will go the way of the dioramas, where none of these are performing yet? Huge disappointment for me, as you guys know. So now let's look at the comparisons. Here's the Tantive IV on Camel 3X. The third-party seller prices are basically tracking or even a little lower than the retail price and the sale prices on Amazon. Looking at the Millennium Falcon mini scale ship, pretty similar story other than one random blip. Comparing those two graphs to the Boba Fett helmet, for example, and keep in mind these are Amazon sales, which are different than on eBay, but it was selling above retail early in life, and then of course when it retired, it started to jump and it continues to climb, which looks great. But the key area is this part of the graph here, where there are multiple sales above retail. The Red 5 helmet is similar to Boba Fett. It did have some third-party sales above retail, and even the recently retired Commander Cody helmet had some above retail. Now let's look at the Camel 3X charts for some of the dioramas. Here's the Emperor's Throne Room, and notice all of the third-party sales below retail price. Same thing with the Endor Speeder Chase. Not so bad on the Trench Run, some sales above retail. And then lastly, the Walmart exclusive trash compactor. Obviously only the blue line because Amazon wasn't able to sell this set. But remember, this retailed for $90. So there's some blips above the $90 line, but it's right around there on average. So when we look back at the Tantive IV graph and we look back at the Millennium Falcon graph, do they look more like the helmet graphs or do they look more like the diorama graphs? Unfortunately, they look more like the diorama graphs. So although I really like these mini scale ships and I think they're going to do a fair amount better than the dioramas, I am going to be cautious and careful, and I understand why it has a 1.7 enthusiasm score. All right, that was a long analysis on that set. I hope you're still with me. I hope I didn't put you to sleep. And actually talking about that, if you know anybody with insomnia, please recommend my channel to them because it will cure them. They will be right asleep after watching my videos. No, I'm kidding around, but you guys know I love the sound of my own voice, so I know I drown on and on sometimes. But let's get back to the table. Now we've got the Tom and Jerry Brickheads, 4 more mentions, up to 7 total, but it dropped to a 1.6 enthusiasm score. Starry Night, Vincent van Gogh, not retiring yet, 6 mentions, a solid 2.5. I think this set will be awesome when it does retire. The Daily Bugle, some people love it, some people hate it. 4 more mentions in February, up to 6 total, jumped to a 2.3 enthusiasm score. I'm glad to see that because I do like this set. Eeyore is not expected to retire at the end of this year, 6 mentions total with a 2.3 2.3 enthusiasm score. The Creator 3-in-1 Pirate Ship, 2 more mentions. It dropped to a 2.2 enthusiasm score, but 6 mentions total. Not my favorite set, but I did see some good comments in favor of the brick built sails, and they were saying that, hey, because they're brick built, they don't get all crinkled up or have as much risk of getting ruined. I showed you guys my Shackleton ship that I completed in my last video. It has the cloth sails. I love it. So I get the upside of the brick built sails, but I think it is a trade-off and I much prefer the cloth. And also I just think the set is too choppy. So not my favorite Creator 3-in-1, even though it is a pirate ship set. MIDI scale invisible hand, already talked about it. 5 more mentions, up to 6, E score of 2. Imperial Star Destroyer, we knew this one would not retire at the end of this year. It was on the retirement list briefly. It dropped off for last video. So now it's one we just need to watch for a while, but great minifigures. 6 mentions total, a 2.0 enthusiasm score. Coruscant Guard gunship, not as enthusiastic recently. Only 1 in the month of February, and it dropped down to a 1.7 enthusiasm score. I've talked about it a lot lately. I still like it a fair amount. The Great Wave Art set, a low 1.3 enthusiasm score. Not retiring yet, so when it does get in the year that it's retiring, I bet that enthusiasm score goes up. I think it's a pretty good set. Clone Trooper and Battle Droid Battle Pack, 6 mentions total, a low 1.3 enthusiasm score. I agree, not retiring yet, but I'm not that big on battle packs right now. AT-AT Driver Helmet just came out, 5 mentions total, 2.4 enthusiasm score, but we don't know when it's going to retire. We just need to keep an eye on it, but it looks like a pretty good looking helmet. Iron Spider-Man Brickhead, the Lego exclusive, 5 mentions total, 2.2 enthusiasm score. Let's talk about the Disney Castle for a minute. This is a Lego exclusive, 4 more mentions in February, up to 5 total, and a pretty solid 2.2 for a large Disney set, especially when we just had the first large castle retire not too long ago. Obviously, the build is fantastic. If this is a set that does well, the build will drive a lot of that value, but it also has 8 minifigures that will have some value, and here they are. Cinderella, $21 on Brickset. Prince Charming, $22. Snow White is $16. Prince Florian is $10. Prince Nevin is $17. I think that's Naveen, sorry. Flynn Rider is $20, and then Rapunzel is showing over $70. Every now and then I hear somebody talk about Rapunzel sets and how they've done well with them in the past. So we're going to look at a couple of sets in a minute, but first let's look at the total value of the minifigures on Brick Economy. Where is that? Here we go. $160 on a $400 set. Again, I'd like that to be higher, but with a set where the build is so great, that's actually decent. The other thing to keep in mind is the original large Disney Castle had over a 6-year shelf life, whereas if this one does retire at the end of this year, which I would be surprised if it does, honestly, but if it does, it's just going to have a 2.5-year shelf life. This date on Brickset is wrong. So I will be watching this set. Now let's look at the Rapunzel sets for a second. I threw Rapunzel into Brickset. Check out this Creativity Tower that retired in 2015, $40 to over $100. This Rapunzel's Tower Duplo set that retired in 2018, $30 to over $100. The Tower and Snuggly Duckling set that just retired retailed for $85, already showing in the positive at $88. Obviously, it was on big discounts a couple of times, so I'm sure people are making money on that set already. So yeah, Rapunzel sets and Rapunzel minifigures are something to keep an eye on. The Fortnite Battle Bus, not retiring yet, but awesome set. I will be watching it when it does retire. 5 mentions, 2.2 enthusiasm score. I expect that to grow next year. Infinity Gauntlet, 5 mentions total, 2 in the last month, jumped to a 2.0 enthusiasm score. A mid on this set. The Icons Medieval Square, 3 more mentions to 5, but it dropped to a 1.8 enthusiasm score. This just screams great investment set. However, the blacksmith from a couple of years ago that had tons of zombie stock has barely moved in value, and so I think that is scaring people on this set. But for personal collection at minimum, I will get one. All these great details, the off-angle buildings and builds, the thatched roofs, great interior details. You know, this stuff is so simple but so detailed. I just love it. I can't wait to build it myself. The Ideas Motorized Lighthouse, 4 more mentions in February, up to 5 total, but it dropped to a 1.8 enthusiasm score. I'm surprised by that. A lot of Ideas sets do really well. I know it's $300, very, very expensive, so obviously watching it for a discount, but a fair amount of people own it and want it. There is definitely some demand here. I think there's real potential for it to fly under the radar, which would be awesome. Plus, if we look at previous sets with Lighthouse in the name, some of them are doing really well. This Creator 3-in-1 that retired in 2017 retailed for $60, up to $85. This older Creator Modular 3-in-1 retired in 2020, so a long time ago, but $40 up to $88. And then I also have to show you the Hidden Side lighthouse that retired in 2020. Hidden Side was a very unpopular theme that did not last long, retailed for $50, and it's already up to $55. And obviously this set was on huge discount. So yeah, I think there's something there with this set. Just don't tell too many people about it. No, I'm kidding. The 8-in-1 Batman Brickhead is a pass for me. 5 mentions, a 1.8 enthusiasm score. Insect Collection, 5 mentions, jumped up to a 1.6 enthusiasm score. So another idea set that is possibly flying under the radar. I think there's some real potential with this set too. Red London Telephone Box, 5 mentions, a low 1.6 enthusiasm score. Also with the same metrics are the next 2 sets, Diagon Alley at $450, and then the Speed Champions Ford Mustang Dark Horse, pretty cool set. Not too many stickers, which is kind of nice every now and then for a Speed Champion set. Walt Disney Tribute Camera, I've liked this set in previous videos, 5 mentions, a low 1.4 enthusiasm score. Droidica has the same metrics, and then Tiny Plants with the same metrics that is not retiring at the end of this year. Twilight the Cullen House just came out, 5 mentions, and wow, 1.2 enthusiasm score. I don't like this set, but I'm surprised it's that low. Maybe as it gets into its retirement year, it will increase. I think some people will like the modern house look, and I guess this truck, but I will not be investing in this set. Bonsai Tree, very popular set, but way too long of a shelf life, so I get the 1.0 enthusiasm score. Now a bunch of sets with 4 mentions. Optimus Prime has the maximum 3.0 enthusiasm score. One of the only sets in this video that is maxed out at 3.0, and this one's not even expected to retire at the end of this year. Fantastic set though. Commander Cody Brickhead, 2 more mentions, and it jumped to a 2.8 enthusiasm score. I'm surprised that's so high, seeing that the Ahsoka Brickhead is not doing that well so far. And Ahsoka retired over a year ago. The Dropship and Scout Speeder, kind of a mashup of 2 micro fighters and a battle pack. All 4 mentions in the month of February, a 2.5 enthusiasm score. Yeah, I get it because of all the minifigures. Harry Potter Triwizard Tournament, the Arrival. I really think there's something here with this ship, but no mentions in the month of February. All 4 of them in January, a high 2.5 enthusiasm score. But let's take a look at some previous sets with big sales and look similar. Pirates of Barracuda Bay retailed for $120, over $300. And I misspoke, retailed for $200. Sorry about that. And then Destiny's Bounty that retired in 2019 from Ninjago retailed for $160 and showing about $250 on Brickset. Silent Mary from Pirates of the Caribbean, awesome set, $200 up to $386. The Brick Bounty, of course, this was going to be a great set to invest in. Retired all the way back in 2015, retailed for $100 and it's about $250 on Brickset. Metal Beard Sea Cow from the Lego Movie, also retired in 2015, $250 set and over $350 now. But it's not all sunshine and ponies for these ship sets. Say that 5 times fast. This Dreams Shark Ship that retired in 24 retailed for $140 and it's at $109. But I'm still feeling pretty good about this one. I bought 3 of these at $75 after taxes. And then also this Eldorado Fortress that I really like. Yeah, it's mostly the Fortress, but it still has a smaller ship with some sales. Retailed for $215 and it's showing $206 on Brickset. Again, the last 2 sets, they just retired, so gotta give them over a year or so and see how they do. But after all that, in summary, I am watching this set. We've been getting lots of good discounts on most Harry Potter sets. I think there's a chance we get decent discount and I'll pick a few up. The new Optimus Prime Brickheads 2-pack, kind of cool, and I think it'll do well, but all the talk is about the nose piece here that looks like a beak, and I figured it out for me. It's not the piece itself. That would actually work for me. It's all the pieces around it that make it look like his whole body and head are curved, right? So he looks like an egg. I've heard people say this is a little bird because of the beak. Nope, for me, it's because he looks like an egg, and so now the nose is rounded. If the rest of the build had a sharper corner look, then the nose would actually work. But all these little bits down here, the arms and how it tapers in, makes it feel rounded, and then really up here with these little details, and then the top of his head being more narrow. It's the Optimus Prime egg. Ghost and Phantom 2, 4 mentions total, 2.3 enthusiasm score. On the surface, seems like a great investment, $160, $13.94 pieces, but 5 unique minifigures. Seems like the price and value is pretty good, a 4.4 on Brickset. The minifigures are all at decent value. Beta's at $16. Same with the Astromech. Jason is over $12. Hawkins is over $10. And of course, Hera is the valuable one at almost $30. And then the only other time we got a minifigure scale Ghost was back in 2014, 2015, $90 set, and now it's going for over $500 $500. So everything screams great investment, but it is from a new Disney Plus miniseries, Ahsoka. Season 1 wasn't great. We've got this other awesome set with great minifigures that was from the Obi-Wan Disney Plus miniseries, and it seemed like this one would be a great investment. Retailed for $100 and is showing only $95 on Brickset. Batman animated series Gotham City, basically an art piece that hangs on the wall. 2 mentions in the last month, plus 0.3 to a 2.3 enthusiasm score. I really like this set. Hogwarts Icons Collector's Edition, same exact metrics as the last set, and I want to watch this one too. Pretty iconic. Creator 3-in-1 Exotic Parrot, 2 more mentions, a 2.3 enthusiasm score. I think that's too high. It's not retiring at the end of this year, and I am not going to get swept up into thinking that that set is going to do well as the Target exclusive Pink Parrot that retired at the end of last year and had a short 1.5-year shelf life. Retailed for $20. Brickset is showing $25. I bought, it says 65 of these. I think I bought way too many of them, but I bought them all at about $12, I think. So yes, I'm feeling really good about this set so far. Don't worry, I don't have 65 quantity of most of the sets that I pick up. It's more like 5, 3, or 8 maybe, but this one at that $12 price, I grabbed a bunch. Large Land Rover Classic Defender, 4 mentions total, E-score of 2. I think the E-score should be lower. The next 3 sets have 4 mentions with an E-score of 2, Wednesday and Enid. The new Vincent van Gogh Sunflowers, really beautiful set. I hope to get that for personal collection someday. And then another Star Wars mini scale ship, the Walmart exclusive Executor Super Star Destroyer. I have it and I'll be building it soon. Now some sets with 4 mentions and a 1.8 enthusiasm score, the Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader Brickheads 2-pack, the Eve and Wally Brickheads 2-pack, and the large Ninjago Tournament of Temple City. 4 sets with 4 mentions and a 1.5 enthusiasm score, the Architecture New York City Skyline that's been out since 2016. It looks like it's going to retire at the end of this year. X-Wing Starfighter drop 0.5 E-score to 1.5. Yeah, probably a pass for me. I hear it's flimsy, which is too bad. Ahsoka Tano's T6 Jedi Shuttle jumped to a 1.5 enthusiasm score. Only if I find it on huge discount will I be picking it up for investment, but I definitely will get one for personal collection. The R2-D2, great set, great Darth Malak minifigure. The last set with 4 mentions is Bowser's Muscle Car, dropped to a 1.3 enthusiasm score. I think there's some potential with this set flying under the radar. Now on to the sets with 3 mentions. The first few have an enthusiasm score of 2.7, and funny enough, none of them are expected to retire at the end of this year. This really great flower arrangement. The newest modular building, the Tudor Corner, a beautiful set. And the large Technic Mars Rover, another set that I want to watch closely. A bunch of sets with 3 mentions and an E-score of 2.3, so follow along on the table as we go. First, the small London bus, then the smaller Land Rover Classic Defender. I do like this one, reminds me of Speed Champions. The Iron Man MK5, I think it's a little bland and boring, so probably a pass for me. Joy, Sadness, and Anxiety, I just don't know, but I think there's some opportunity. And then let's talk about Mighty Bowser. Is expected to retire at the end of this year. 1 more mention, up to 3 total, but it dropped from a 2.5 to a 2.3 enthusiasm score. $270 is crazy expensive, but it does have a 4.4 on Brickset. On Amazon, the demand isn't crazy high. There's a couple of listings, 50 and 100. Not terrible for such a huge set. And that's backed up by the Bucky Discord data. At least there's some green and yellow here on the left side of the table. The sales rank isn't terrible, and there are some daily drops, which indicates that it is selling. But when it does go out of stock, which looks like it's a fair amount, it's not jumping up too high yet. This one is okay at $295. If you'd like to join this Discord, it does come with a cost, but check the link in the description of this video. And then on Camel 3X, there's some good signs here. Third-party sellers are going a fair amount above retail when it sells out on Amazon. So the data is a mixed bag, which I think actually is kind of good. I think there is enough good metrics here that I like it, but I don't think it's going to be oversupplied on the secondary market. A little bit flying under the radar. Ninjago Source of Dragon Motion, 3 mentions total. Obviously the 2 in February were a fair amount lower than the first mention because it dropped to a 2.3 enthusiasm score. I've seen this built. My friend's son has it. It's huge. Some Ninjago Dragon sets have done really well. Desert Skip and Sarlacc Pit, 3 mentions, E-score 2.3. And it looks like a bunch of sets have 3 mentions with an E-score of 2.3. Next up is the retiring Audi S1 e-tron Quattro. I like Speed Champions across the board. I'm not worried about the new higher retail price. I'm just waiting for my normal $14 discount. If they hit them, then I pick them up. If they don't, then I pass on them. The Milky Way Galaxy, beautiful art set, not retiring at the end of this year. The Bumblebee Brickheads 2-pack, pretty adorable. The Ferrari F40, I love it. Now a bunch of sets with 3 mentions and an E score of 2. Hocus Pocus Sanderson's Sister Cottage, cool set. Potted Groot, not my thing. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs Cottage, also not my thing, but I do need to watch the data. I can't let my personal bias have me miss out on a good set, but I still feel like my hunch is right that this one will not do that well, at least on the short term. Might be a really long hold time. We've got the Darth Vader helmet, 3 mentions in the month of February. Ambush on Mandalore Battle Pack, pretty much a pass for me. The larger transforming Bumblebee, I do like it, but I'm sure it's gonna have a pretty long shelf life. Captain Rex helmet, yep, I'll keep an eye on it. The first set out of a bunch with 3 mentions and a 1.7 enthusiasm score is this retiring Pac-Man arcade. Kind of interesting, one worth watching. The Fox Lodge, too boring of a Minecraft set for me to be interested in. Simba the Lion King Cub, let's talk about this set again for a second. A low 1.7 enthusiasm score. I think it's flying under the radar at this point. If we look at Amazon, 3,000 a month being sold, it's on discount a lot. It just seems like people would be willing to pay $30 or $35 for this set in a few years, assuming that it actually does retire at the end of this year. So that 20 to 30% discount, I'm in. The 4+ Crimson Firehawk, Fortnite Peelybone, all the Fortnite sets are expected to retire at the end of this year, except the Battle Bus. Makes sense. My kids like Fortnite, so I just ask them their opinion of these sets. That's what I'm going off of for investing. They're my strategists, and they said they do like this one. Botanicals, Plum Blossom, all these botanical sets are beautiful. Jabba's Sail Barge, not my thing. I really don't want it for personal collection. The pattern is too repetitive, and I hate the color, even though I know it's pretty accurate. But it's the first UCS sail barge, so I'm sure it grows in value. Well, I won't say I'm sure, but I think it does. Remember, all of my videos are for entertainment purposes. I do not provide any financial advice. The Alpine Lodge is the first of 3 with a 1.3 enthusiasm score. I torched this set a fair amount in my last video. I don't like it. McLaren Formula 1 car, the Speed Champions F1 that is not part of the new wave of 12, so this one is a little unique. Probably not as great of a build or detail, but it's gonna have a pretty short shelf life. Again, at the right price, I'll pick it up. And as referenced here, those 12 new ones that just came out. Lego made some new molds for these sets. The details are great. A lot of the prints are really good. I've seen a couple of them built, so I am a huge fan. I will own all 12 of these for personal collection. I'm gonna be spending a lot of money on Lego here pretty soon. And then the last one with 1.3 enthusiasm score is Stitch. 2 sets with 3 mentions, but a low 1.0 enthusiasm score. Santa's Post Office and Bunny's Outdoor Adventures from Animal Crossings. Now a bunch of sets with 2 mentions. Follow along on the table for all of the E scores. I'm not going to read them off so much going forward, but we've got the Lord of the Rings Burr Tower, not retiring at the end of this year. Awesome set. Check this out. 600 being sold per month on Amazon, and then 300 of Rivendell. Huge sets, and they have great sales velocity for such high price points. The idea is Jaws not retiring at the end of this year. Pretty cool build. Minecraft Ender Dragon and End Ship, probably a pass. The Vespa, definitely a pass for me. I pass on the postcards. Egalt the Master Dragon, another pretty decent Ninjago dragon. Might have some potential. The new Speed Champions Mercedes AMG 2-pack. I like both of them. I know there's a little bit of hate about the front end of the SL. I don't think it's terrible. Something unique in your Speed Champions lineup. The Mario Piranha Plant, Ninjago City Markets, the UCS Razor Crest. Let's talk about the Luke Skywalker X-Wing mech for a second. I think the best, maybe the second best mech. I do like the Boba Fett mech. Still at the $16 price, but we haven't heard about any more mechs coming. I wish we would get some more, because now we only have 4, and the first 3, not great so far. Now they did just retire at the end of 24, so give them some more time and I think they'll be okay. Spider-Man Final Battle, the Avengers Helicarrier, Hagrid's Hut and Unexpected Visit, the Lamborghini V12 Vision concept car. I personally like this one a lot, and I think there's some chance that it flies under the radar. Shadow the Hedgehog, the new Lucky Bamboo, another nice set. Trevi Fountain, better than the original, has a little color, but I still don't like it very much. The small botanical sunflower set, the upscale Lego minifigure. Man, when this was announced, everybody was excited, and now you almost hear nothing about it. I really don't like this one. UCS TIE Interceptor, the Hogwarts Castle and Grounds. If you look at data, you'll notice that most micro scale sets do not do well in the secondary market. I have to give DG Bricks credit for that. He's the one that saw that and saw that pattern, but I think there's still some potential with this one. Really beautiful set. Harry Potter Mandrake set, it's actually a pretty cool build. Stargazing with Celeste from Animal Crossing, not retiring yet, but the minifigures are pretty sweet. Mighty Dinosaurs, one of the best selling toys on Amazon. It's finally retiring. Botanical Daffodils, let's look at this one for a second. Only a 1.5 enthusiasm score, but if we look at the first small botanicals retiring set, which was Tulips, retired in 22, retailed for $10, showing $15 on Brickset. On eBay, it's selling for $25 to $35 shipped. And note that this is the second daffodil set, and they are not exactly the same. Look at the spacing in the petals on this set versus the most recent one. I think that's actually kind of cool. And I don't think it will hurt the demand on either of these sets. It actually could help the demand on both of them. Having a little variety of the same cut of flower goes well with your flower arrangement and with all the other small botanical flower sets. City, Jungle Explorer, Helicopter, and Base or something like that. Lifeguard Truck, $25, a little expensive, but we know these city sets can always be got at 20% off at some point. That price, I actually think there's some opportunity here. That's a really good vehicle and build, and I like the color a lot for a lifeguard vehicle. Couple of box cars in this set. The Batman mech armor, the Superman versus Lex Luthor armor, Dobby the house elf. I'm interested. I talked about it a little bit in previous videos. Hogwarts Castle Boathouse, Buckbeak from Harry Potter, and then Hogwarts Castle Potions class from Harry Potter. Fortnite Supply Llama. I asked my kids, they said, yeah, not so much. Even though this one has good sales velocity on Amazon. The Money Tree, I'm probably passing on. The Natural History Museum, not retiring at the end of this year. The new French Cafe is very ugly in that area and really not worth the price. The Evolution of STEM is kind of an interesting set. The Retro Camera, some interest when it first came out, but now that it's at least going to 26, that's a 3-year shelf life at minimum. Probably one to pass on. Carl, Russell, and Kevin, I do like this Brickheads, but it's not retiring, it looks like this year, so it's going to have a long shelf life. Baby Pig's Birthday Celebration, passing. Red Dragon, I'm passing. Creative Play Droid Builder, talked about it a lot. It's all about the minifigure. It's a pass for me. The latest minifigure scale Batmobile that is on a stand with a plaque. Hogwarts Castle Dueling Club, definitely a pass. Knuckles in the Master Emerald Shrine, I don't invest in any of the action play. Mario, Stunts, or Sonic sets. Maleficent's Dragon and Aura's Castle. Back to the Future Time Machine, not retiring yet, but does get some buzz here and there. Wildflower Bouquet, another beautiful botanical set. The Great Pyramid of Giza, let's talk about this one for a second. A low 1.0 enthusiasm score, only 2 mentions. But last year, the Taj Mahal retired. $120, showing 106 on Brickset. On eBay, 125 shipped. About the same price there. 130 shipped. And then we're down to 100, 110 shipped. And then we got some lower ones. Interesting. We can see how this price jumped from before the holidays to after the holidays. Not a lot of sales either. I bought 3 of these at 67 after tax, so feeling pretty good about these too. So if this one goes on really good discount like the Taj Mahal did, I might have to pick some up. The new Ninjago City Workshops, and then the last set with 2 mentions is the Speed Champions NASCAR Chevy. All right, now all the sets with only 1 mention. Architecture Skyline Paris, London Postcard, Andrea's Modern Mansion, the Iron Man Mech, Hogwarts Express and Hogsmeade, Fortnite Durburger, Lord of the Rings Rivendell. Oh, my friend got this recently. I got to figure out a way to get one in my own collection too. Notre Dame, not retiring yet, but one I will be watching. The Frog House, Wolf Stronghold, and let's talk about the crafting table for a second. An E-score of 2. Most Minecraft sets these days don't do well, but this one clearly is different. It is a micro scale. That does worry me a little bit. 4.6 on Brickset, selling $800 a month on Amazon. Not bad this time of year, but Camel 3X is not looking great from the third-party sellers. So it seems like because it's such a fan-desired set that it would have to be a good investment, but I also worry that maybe it's too much in the Lego telling us, hey, here's a collectible for you. And once we get told something is collectible, we don't want to invest in it. People don't want to pick it up, and it loses a lot of the demand. So I'm not sure, but it is one to watch. The Majestic Tiger Creator 3-in-1. Everyone is awesome. Captain America Red Hulk. Mercedes Technic. John Deere Forest Harvester. City Mobile Construction Crane, $110, but super cool set. Tractor with trailer from the City line. King Boo's Haunted Mansion. I know I said I don't invest in the Mario play sets, but this is actually a cool set. I am curious. I probably won't pick any up, but I bet it does do okay on the secondary market. A Ninjago jet type set that looks pretty cool, but definitely a pass. Donkey Kong and DK Jumbo, the Mario Kart set. I like it. The Onyx Cinder has a lot of good going for it, but remember the Justifier from the Bad Batch retailed for $170, showing $112 on Brickset. Not so good so far. This is from Skeleton Crew. I worry if the Onyx Cinder is going to follow the same path as the Justifier. Duel on Peridia, Minions and Gru's Family Mansion. I've been skipping all of the Minions sets. Batman construction figure and the Bat Pod Bike, definitely a pass. War Machine Mech Armor. This Iron Man Legions and High Hydra Soldiers set, the Avengers Assemble Age of Ultron, not the worst of this kind of set, Spider-Man mech, Ollivanders and Madame Malkin's robes, the Speed Champions BMW 2-pack, the Aston Martin Speed Champions 2-pack. I like it because it has the safety car. I want the safety car to go with all of the F1 Speed Champions. We're up to at least 14, maybe 15 in the 8-stud wide versions. Baby Bumpy Ankylosaurus, Dinosaur Fossils T-Rex Skull, pretty good looking set. Another Animal Crossing, Julian's Birthday Party, Creator 3-in-1 Cozy House, definitely a pass. Botanicals Succulents, nice little set because you can break these up. My friends put a few on each of their shelves and they look nice, and they've got them complementing larger botanical sets. I like how they did that. The large Icons Lamborghini Countach, Artemis Space Launch System, I love it for personal collection, probably will do decent on the secondary market. The new Pretty Pink Flower Bouquet, Lego just keeps coming out with more and more botanicals that do really well, like this mini orchid that is another great set. And this one right here that looks awesome. There's the set name for you. I'll pronounce it in a future video. Minecraft Never Lava Battle, Home Alone House, awesome set, but been on the shelves for so long. Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas, one to watch. Creator 3-in-1 Red Fox and Forest Animals, Creator 3-in-1 Tropical Ukulele, pretty little set, but probably a pass. Cherry Blossoms, awesome. The large Technic F1 Red Bull, $230. You guys know I want it, but I'm not sure it's worth the money. Lilo and Stitch Beach House, love that they came out with this. One to watch when it gets closer to retirement. City F1 Pit Stop and Pit Crew with Ferrari car, that's an awful name. I imagine some folks think the F1 and the City line would be good ones to pick up. I think so over a longer hold time, but I think everything is just a little too simple and plain for these to do that well in the secondary market. UCS Venator Cruiser, we already looked at this. Midi-scale Millennium Falcon, surprising, only one mention with an E score of 2. Captain Rex Y-Wing Microfighter, the Hulk Truck vs. Thanos, very new set. I think there's potential here. I love that Lego did this. The Marvel logo, another one that I think has some potential, but who knows when it's retiring. Kind of unique. Some people love it, some people hate it. Flying Ford Anglia, the Microscale Diagon Alley, Speed Champions Red Bull, beautiful new set. The large Icons Vespa is a pass. Cherry Blossom Garden, Minecraft is a pass. Adorable Dogs, talked about this one a little bit. One worth watching. Creator 3-in-1 Space Roller Coaster, I do love the smaller roller coaster sets. Red Panda May, no idea, haven't seen the movie. Friends Heart Lake City Community Center, Technic Off-Road Race Buggy, Antonio's Animal Sanctuary, Moana's Flower Pot. I might actually watch that one a little bit. It could look nice with some of the botanical sets. Twirling Aerial, this city fire truck and rescue boat with a little camping scene. You guys know I love this one for personal collection. Fire rescue plane, I think this one has some potential. It's a good plane in the city line. Jungle Explorer off-road truck with a nice tiger animal over there. Space Science Lab was supposed to have less than a year shelf life, but fell off last year's retirement list, so definitely a pass now. It is a Target exclusive though. Galactic Spaceship, good set, a little overpriced. 2 more of the soapbox cars. Bark Speeder Escape, easy pass. Moss Espa Diorama, also a pass. Paz Vizsla and Moff Gideon battle, not an easy pass, but probably isn't going to do great. Brick Built Gru and Minions, actually a decent face on Gru. Spider-Man versus Sandman final battle. Hogwarts Castle Owlery, it's a tough one to say. Isabel's House Visit from Animal Crossing. Izzy's Dream Animals, those dream sets haven't worked out. Titanic, let's look at this one for a second. Only one mention, E-score 1, not retiring anytime soon. Probably still gonna have a pretty long shelf life, but I want to show you Google Trends. If we look at Titanic versus the Coliseum, Titanic is so much higher. Really, really interesting. But if we look at the Coliseum set that retired at the end of 23, retailed for $550, showing $731 on Brickset. I don't really think that this trends comparison is that scientific because the set itself is what's going to drive how popular it is. But we know Titanic is popular and this is a great build. The Orchid, Mrs. KDX built and love this set. The Tranquil Garden, I want this set for work so that I can fidget with it while I'm on pointless meetings. The Concord, super cool set. The Roses, Shackleton's Endurance. The Blacktron Renegade Remake, easy pass for me. I really don't like that set. Statue of Liberty, another architecture set worth watching if it goes on sale. Turtle Beach House. Dungeons and Dragons, Red Dragon's Tail, beautiful set. This has to be a winner, right? It has a Ninjago dragon in it. They do well. It has a castle component to it. Castle sets do well. It has a medieval component to it, kind of like the blacksmith. I know the blacksmith hasn't done that well, but medieval does well. And then it's got some landscape with a tree that ties the whole thing together. I don't know much about Dungeons and Dragons. I'm sure I'd love to play it someday, but I certainly want that set for personal collection. Magic of Disney, Space Robot, Lotus Flower. I like how simple that is. It looks beautiful. Upscaled race car driver, definitely better than the other one. Technic Ford GT, Technic Electric Garbage Truck. My son wants this set. I think it looks cool. cool. Deep sea research submarine. This is a Technic set. I don't remember submarines that are taller than they are long, so this looks weird to me. Maybe this is something kind of realistic, but I don't recall seeing that, so I don't want that set. Tipping dump truck from the Technic line. Inside Out 2 mood cubes. I've heard a couple of positive things about this set. I know the movies did great, but this reminds me too much of Dots, so I don't think it'll do well. Fire rescue boat. Holiday camper van. I love my camping sets. Thunderfang Dragon of Chaos from Ninjago. What a name and what a wild set. I don't know. It's wild enough and very colorful. Maybe there's something there when it gets close to retirement. Zane's Ultra Combiner Mech, I think. Not my favorite. Arc Dragon of Focus. I do like the gold, purple, and blue. The Mandalorian Helmet. Kind of boring. Been around a long time. 501st Clone Troopers Battle Pack. TIE Bomber. Good set. Darth Maul's Sith Infiltrator. Overpriced, but a good minifigure. Avengers Tower. Not retiring anytime soon. The Milano Spaceship. Not my favorite. Gringotts Wizarding Bank. The Collector's Edition. Cool set. I just wish that there was something different about it. I just don't like how these two relate to each other. I know it's kind of accurate, but something just doesn't work for me. But more and more, I'm thinking this one could do okay when it retires. A new Hogwarts flying lesson. Only one mentioned so far. That means the old one probably has topped out at $35, retailed for $30. On Camel 3X, we can see the old one had some stronger performance early in retirement, and then it's been tapering down, flattened out, popped a little bit recently. I still think I have a couple of these, so I need to unload them here sooner than later. The new Dinosaur Fossils T-Rex, very cool set. I want to have it in my collection, but this is a rare Lego set that when I look at it, I say to myself, I do not want to build it. It looks like a lot of pain getting pieces lined up. And then the last set on the table is the Cyclone versus Metal Sonic. I don't think I've ever seen this set before. That is a cool Metal Sonic, but definitely a pass for me. Now let's wrap up with my top three. In third place is the Triwizard Tournament, The Arrival. When I looked at those other ships that have the big sails and look similar, and the fact that this one is Harry Potter themed and has a really unique ship build that looks good, a little bit of interior detail, I guess 5 unique minifigures, I thought to myself, the opportunity for this is growing in my mind. In second place, Simba the Lion King Cub. I think on discount, it's an easy win. And then my number one set in this video is going to be the Ghost and Phantom 2. I mean, this one really could crash and burn, but the data says that it should be strong. All right, thanks a lot for watching. That's a wrap. I will see you in my next video where I'll be doing the same thing, but talking about the not top sets. Oh, and don't forget, my videos are for entertainment purposes only. I do not provide financial advice. You got to get that from somebody else.